you know, nothing really beats shifting gears in good quality seats. And that's a problem because the GDA here never came with Recaro seats. I mean, how hard could it be? You just buy some seats and slap them in. Well, that's what I thought. But when I went on Facebook Marketplace, this is what we ended up with.
Rubbish.
So what I'm gonna have to do is make my own. Now for those that are new to the channel and haven't seen us modify the GDA, this is what you've missed so far. We've done a manual conversion, upgrading the flywheel and clutch as well as the engine mounts. We have also upgraded the brake disc and got the car retuned, also going down the quarter mile to see what this car can actually do. But we didn't stop there, we also upgraded the stereo system so we can watch Fast and Furious while we drive a Fast and Furious EVO 7. Now that recap's done, let's get back to this episode. Now guys, this is actually what I'm working with. As you can see here, I've got two sets of seats. One set of Facebook Marketplace, which ended up being two driver seats for some reason. And then the seller, being a good bloke, sent me another set to replace the original set, but these are a different pattern to the back seats. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull apart the two driver seats, pull apart these other two seats, and make the perfect set for me so I can chuck in the Evo. So in this episode, you're gonna see how to pull these things apart, do repairs if you need to do them, and then put them back into the car. So let's get into it. Now this is where I'm starting with, the frames. So as you can see, we've got a frame that's already apart. Now the reason why I did this on the seats that I'm actually gonna keep is, well, pretty much, I didn't want to stuff up the seller's second pair of seats if I didn't have to. I wanted to experiment on the ones that I'm actually keeping. So these came out pretty easy, but now that I know how to do this safely, I'm going to take it out from this one. Now, if you have a look at the bottom here, you're gonna see that we have to take this off and we have to try and get these bits of thread out. They're stuck in there, can't get them out. I've tried. So we're gonna have to weld some nuts to them and get them out. Now the reason why we have to change the actual frames, if you have a look at this one, you can see that these have been modified, been chopped up and all sorts of stuff to fit in a different vehicle. So no good for me. I mean, I could try and custom weld everything back on, but it's never gonna be right. It's better off using these frames and then swapping them to that material. Does that make sense? Now, of course, as you guys can see, these are already apart. They did come as a complete seat. I've just pre-pulled them apart so I can show you guys on camera how to actually do it properly. If you want to know how to actually get them apart from a full seat, just skip ahead of the video and you'll see me in detail put them back together. Now, the frame here, as you can see, what we're going to use is plastic tools to start taking off the material from the frame. Now, this next bit can be a bit tricky and there's a couple ways of doing it. There is double-sided sticky tape that's holding the material to that frame. Now you could just use an iron to heat up that glue to make it easier to pull this material away, or you can just pull it off like I did. Overall, it doesn't really seem to affect the actual way the seat holds to the frame. Then it's just a matter of using our blue plastic tools to get in there and flick the last little section out. And as you can see, once that's done, it pulls away from the frame. Well, now the base is done, it's time to get on to the most common problem with the Evo seats, and that is the back plastics. Now, if you have a look here, you will see that we are missing some clips, 3 of them, and this 4th one is almost ready to come off. So we need to fix them because that bolts onto the skeleton of the seat, and what that does is it stops it from pulling away. And it's most likely, if you've got some old seats, yours is actually doing that. So we're going to show you how to fix that and bolt it up. Now we're getting to the fun part. Before we do, we have to get this big object into a tight place. Now these plastic things can be brittle, so make sure you are careful when putting this big cold metal piece back in. In hindsight, you won't be doing this anyway, only if you are swapping the rear plastics on your seats, like I am, to get one high quality set. Now if you guys are on Marketplace and you are trying to buy seats, this is something you should look out for. As you can see here, there's a hole here where someone's drilled a hole, put in a long nose bit, and then drilled into the actual frame to hold the plastics to the frame. It hasn't worked, it's still broken, so that's not the right way to fix it, but something to keep an eye out if you see that hole. So what I've decided to do is bring this over to the welding table, put a rag down so I don't scratch the plastics, because I am going to plastic weld, well, attempt to plastic weld these clips back into place. So what I'm using is just a cheap plastic welder off the internet. Comes with these little metal things I can put in there. So hopefully that makes it strong enough so this can actually be reused again. Wish me luck. Now if you're trying to be all cool like the guys of TikTok and use some zip ties, don't bother, it does not work. Your best bet is, if you need a bit of plastic, is to find some plastic on the seat that's not really doing much, just trimming it a little bit and using that to mount in. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's get back to basics. First things first is we gotta get these clips back to where they belong. Now there's a couple of reasons for this. I mean, first off, you want this thing going back to where it actually was beforehand so you get a nice fitting product. And two, you don't want to be welding in the wrong clip. Let's face it, someone's gonna do it. Next thing is we get the prodder and we prod this thing and we mount them together, leaving the piece of metal behind, making it really strong. Next thing we do is we get our snips and we send metal missiles flying through the air. So maybe using safety glasses is a good idea. Ow! Well, if you've gone to this point and you still have your eyeballs in your head, well done, because you're almost there. All you want to do now is get your cheap heat gun. You want to just melt over the plastic to seal those pieces of metal in, and you're ready to move on to the next step. You know, slap the brackets on just like this. Then we're ready to slap on the foam sections of the seats. All right, so now that we got the backing plate done, it is time to put on the cover. Now, I will mention these fins here. Now, this is actually firmly stuck to this bits of plastic. I'm gonna try and show you the best I can with the camera I got, but pretty much we got to get these bits of the seat wrapped around those fins. All right, so let's do that. Now from factory, this is what they like to put down. These covers and this piece of foam. Now I will say that these things do like to move, so if you actually have a look, you can see that factory guys use some form of sticky tape to make sure that these things don't jiggle around while you're putting the foam on. Which is what we're doing right now. Getting the actual foams around the plastic can be quite difficult, but look, honestly, just keep at it. Don't be too gentle. This stuff is pretty resilient to get it where it needs to be. All right, now that we got that on, you just want to make sure that you don't have any crinkles here. To fix that, you just pull down on it before you do this next bit, which is to flip all these over. And these are pretty simple. You just twist and fold them in. So where are we, like that? Like that. Now a lot of this is pretty straightforward. You just gotta be consistent. The only reason why I'm mentioning anything is because these two sections here, very easy to miss, but very important to make your seat actually look good. So make sure you get these tucked in as well, and then finish off with the base. All right, next bit, let's do these. Now this next bit you cannot find on the internet, so let me help you out here. Now these plastics, these little back plastics that I'm slapping in now, you can see that there's two clips up top, one clip on the bottom. And the way you get them out is you use either a screwdriver or a long plastic tool, and you flick the clips up by sliding them between the fabric and the plastic. Unfortunately, I didn't record doing this because it's such a hard job to do. So now that that's done, it's time to move over to the base. Now, before I do that, I will say that up to this point, this can be a driver or a passenger's side. The only difference between the two is that there is a shaft that goes through here and it's on one side or the other. You can just adjust it. So if you just have a really dodgy driver side and you want to put your passenger side in, it's pretty simple up to this point. The problem is you can't do that at the base. Like I showed before, they are actually different on the bottom. So the only way to actually change the material is to pull it apart, unfortunately. But now what we're going to do, we're going to slide this on, bolt it up, and then we got this one back together. And sliding it on and bolting up is pretty much what we're doing. Now, it is a bit tricky to get both sides in. You pretty much just have to be careful with the material. But once you're in, you bolt up both sides. There should be 2 bolts on each side, and there should be a bit of Loctite on the threads. Once you've got that nice and tight, we're moving on to the bar. Now, the bar that goes through the metal, like I said before, determines whether this is a passenger or a driver's seat. And as you can see, I'm adjusting it to match the base that I'm using on this seat. Once I'm happy with that, I then start putting on the plastics on both sides. As you can see, these are pretty basic. Just take your time to get them right. Now that those seats are done, it's time to fix the jankness. Now, for you guys that have watched us pretty regularly, you would have seen me try and put these into the EVO behind me, and you would have seen that they don't fit. But that's not the worst problem. The worst problem is the jankness of the welds. They are disgusting. And look, I wouldn't even give this to my worst enemy. I mean, they're just so bad and really dangerous. So I have no idea what they made these for, but we're gonna have to cut them off. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull the seats that are in the EVO at the moment. I'm gonna get the brackets off them, and we're gonna try and modify it so it can fit these seats. And we're gonna do it in a safe way, not like this. So let's see how we go. So I know what you're thinking, Reese, why don't you just buy a bolt-in kit for your EVO? I can't find anything like that. I've looked at the aftermarket stuff. There doesn't seem to be a full bolt-in bracket, just brackets without the actual mounts to go to your car. So we have to make them, and that's why I'm pulling out these GTA seats. They pretty much cost nothing. You can't sell them. I might as well chop them up and reuse them. Now, all right, so I got this out of the car, and I've got my tape measure out, and I've measured the pins to the pins, and there's about 10 mil difference. So I can make that work, you know, I can just offset these and I'll be pretty happy with doing that. The thing that's really bothering me is, even though these pins are very close, this looks like it's way further out. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna nick these off real quickly, take these off, and I'm gonna see just how close it is. Hopefully it lines up. But what I might actually do is I might retake this off so I can actually see through it. It might be just a bit easier. So it's just like this, just a frame. We'll see. Let's see how far we get. You can really see the hopes and dreams in my eyes at this point. Sadly, that did not last. I didn't realize the pain I was about to receive. Now, as you can see, we started off with a small drill bit, worked our way up, and then we resorted to smacking it. I've used a grinder, hacksaw, and a Dremel to try and get these things off. It is painful, but we've got them off. We just had to do it 8 times. And then we had to bolt them into the car. Now you saw, I've taken all those clamps off and I've bolted them into the car. And then what I've done is I've put the car seats onto it. Now, this was a bit of playing around, but what I've done is I've got it roughly where it needs to be. I've got the old seat in there all the way forward. I've got this one all the way forward. So I'm trying to match them up as best I can. What I've also done is I've got a level, put it against the body of the car, and have a look at the rails that are on the actual seats. And they are pretty close. So by doing that and this, we should be good to go. I'm gonna mark them and then weld them up. If you guys are new to welding, this is a TIG welder, and I'm welding this together. Now, usually you would use a MIG. I am terrible with MIG, but I am pretty awesome with a TIG, so that's what I'm using. It's best to go with your strengths. As you can see, I'm just putting some tacks in, which is just a little weld to hold the pieces of metal together, so I can check to make sure that I'm getting everything in the right spot. And if I'm not, all I have to do is remove that little bit of weld and reposition it to where it's meant to be. Now when I'm happy, I then whack on a full weld and make sure I get at least 3 of these legs welded up properly, ready to be rebolted to the frame, and then retested in the car for the next step. So as you can see, I've got the base in the car. I've taken off the cover off the good seat. I just had to do it because this next bit, it would have got in the way. So what I've done is I've bolted it in 3 positions. It rolls nicely. But what I need to do now is I need to weld the last bracket. Now, I could mark it like I did the others and weld it off out of the car, but the problem is, if I mark this up even a mil, it's not gonna slide nice. I really need to weld it in the car. And now actually thinking about it, I would have been better off welding these 2 first and welding this one and then leaving this one unwelded, because that would have been a lot easier to get to. So That's what I'll do on the next one. But for this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this all the way back, which it is. I'm gonna stick it in there and I'm gonna weld it, and hopefully I don't burn the carpet. Wish me luck. Yeah, that was dumb. I should definitely, well, oh well. And it really was dumb because it ended up being a lot worse than I thought. As you can see, not only is it in an awkward position, there's not much light here. So with a welding mask on, I cannot really see. I've used my phone. Look, it got me out of the pinch. It actually went pretty well and I didn't end up burning anything. But now that's done, I'm going to pull out of the car, give that a proper weld, slap some paint on it, and then start putting it back together. Now that we've got this bracket all welded up, I've painted it and that is ready to go in the car. But there's one more mod I want to do, and that is the seat belt. Now this is the one I got from the janky kit, and as you can see, it's absolutely terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this. This is the one off the GDA seats. And another thing that I really like about this one is it comes with the seat belt connector. So it's still going to do the thing, you know, when it beeps when you don't have your seat belt in. I know that's annoying. It's probably a mod you would like to take away, but that's what the car came with. So I'm putting it back in. Plus this is in a lot better nick. And this is just jank. So that's why I'm sticking this one in. Now I'm going to agree with most of you out there that this is probably not a necessary mod, but if you ever do find yourself needing to relicense the car, this might be one of the requirements in your state or territory, especially when it comes to Australia. Like for me, it's a very simple process. All I had to do was drill a hole, put some paint on it, and then put it back together. But now it's time to get amped back up because we're pretty much done. I just got to put everything back together. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna get the trim, put it onto this frame, and then bolt all these new brackets up, and we're gonna put this seat back together. Now I will say this was way more challenging than I thought it was gonna be, but I really do think it was worthwhile doing it. I just would have never felt comfortable using the janky stuff that I was given at the beginning. Unfortunately, I just think this is gonna be a more common thing. The second-hand market, these seats coming more rare. It's just the way it's going to be. So I think it was really important to put a really detailed video of how to fix these things and how to get them back where they belong in an Evo and putting a smile on people's faces. So there we go, the seats are in and we can finally have a look at our handiwork. So let's have a quick look inside the car. So how we end up going with the positioning of the seats? Well, I'm happy to say that I think we got this right. I mean, this feels comfortable, the seat feels straight, slides nice, which is great. All in all, I think it looks awesome and it's a great update. Of course, we need to still do a couple more things. We need to put some gauges in here. We need to change this to the Momo steering wheel that comes with the normal Evo 7s. And paint up some things to match it all up. But really, the interior is pretty much done. So all in all, what do we actually learn from this whole experience? Well, these seats, they ended up costing us $2,000 all up and didn't cost us a single cent more to fix other than just materials to weld and stuff like that. So that ended up being pretty good. Like I said, I think they're a great upgrade and it's really gonna match the car once we get all painted and get it looking smick. Obviously, there's a couple of things we need to worry about. Facebook Marketplace, as you saw, I did get burnt. Luckily, we were able to rectify it, and hopefully, if you're in the same position, you can do the same thing. Now, I'm going to leave this with some words of wisdom from Logan. But before I go, please subscribe, share to your mates, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, how hard could it be? You just buy things and then you just slap them in the car.